How's it going? Welcome back to another great video with your host, The Savior. Now, I'm so excited. I am kind of getting hyped, I've got to be honest, about Avowed. And today I thought I would take a look at the Avowed reviews, the early Avowed reviews. And today I want to make the ultimate Avowed review, okay? The early reviews that have all come out, kind of combine them all together, look at this game, and basically talk about what I've actually seen as well, based on previous events and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just so excited about Avowed, okay? Like, this is pretty insane stuff. Yes! 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 So welcome back to the channel. If you are new, please do consider subscribing. I absolutely love making content for you guys, so please do consider subscribing. Give the video a like if you do enjoy it, because it does help. I'm so passionate about old school YouTube, so if you like that approach, do join the community. If you like early reviews, yearly reviews, and philosophical content, I blend them all together on this channel, so join us as we dive deep into this Avowed video essay, looking at all of the Avowed reviews, early reviews, and previews, combining it all together for the ultimate Avowed review. I honestly think the Avowed reviews are going to be insane, okay? Because Obsidian are in a weird position at the moment. Well, they're in a pretty good position, if I'm honest, because Bethesda have kind of failed us, okay? They failed RPG fans, they've even failed Bethesda fans for the most part, okay? A lot of people weren't happy with Starfield. I made a whole separate 2024 review of that, looking at that game after all of the updates and everything, but it's still not what people want, okay? For the most part. I know some people enjoy it, but for the most part, it's not what we fell in love with. It's not Fallout 3, it's not Skyrim, okay? It's not even Oblivion, and to be honest, we're in a kind of, we are missing that type of RPG. It's been a long time since we had that open-ended kind of exploration type game similar to Skyrim, similar to Oblivion. Yes, we're going to get the Oblivion remake, which I'm looking forward to, not even by Bethesda. So I'm looking forward to that, but we haven't got this type of RPG, you know, an action-focused RPG similar to Oblivion and the Elder Scrolls, okay? But it seems like Obsidian are correcting that, okay? They are very good at kind of just one-upping Bethesda, if I'm honest. You know, they did that with the Outer Worlds just when Fallout kind of failed everyone. You know, people weren't happy with the state of Fallout, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. And then they just came in clutch with the Outer Worlds, which is a very small, confined, kind of experimental game. And they, you know, they created a whole new IP, a whole new franchise around that. Some people didn't really love the Outer Worlds. I do think it's a great RPG, but I'm not in love with the world. I'm not in love with the lore like I am with Fallout or Elder Scrolls to a degree. You know, I can kind of take or leave Elder Scrolls, but Fallout, I'm a massive lore fan of Fallout. But still, the Outer Worlds was interesting. It was condensed, and it was, you know, trying to experiment with interesting mechanics that we haven't seen in RPGs like that, because Elder Scrolls 6 probably isn't out for a very long time, and people have lost faith in Bethesda. They aren't really trusting Bethesda anymore to even create a good Elder Scrolls game anymore, which is pretty sad. No. And a lot of these early Avowed reviews, okay, are saying that this game is absolutely incredible. I could play it a little bit, but it was more of a tech demo at an event. I didn't get access like some of the bigger YouTubers got, but still, I've compiled everything together. I've done extensive research, got all of the different reviews and news outlets as well, and combined them all to make an ultimate Avowed early review. Let me know if you like it. It's not going to replace my actual early reviews and my review series, but it's just a new series, so let me know what you think. Now, I'm a little bit worried that this isn't going to perform as well as some people are hoping. Now, the Outer Worlds, like I said, it's very important that we touch upon that, because that is literally what this game is, just with a fantasy theme instead of a sci-fi theme. But the Outer Worlds was kind of in crunch time. It was made to capitalize on the failure of Fallout to a degree, and they didn't really have the resources or the scope to make that game truly big, and it did feel a little bit lacking. You know, it was quite a short game. It had tons of replayability to it, a lot of RPG goodness, but it was quite, you know, short. The DLCs did flesh it out in the end, but it was kind of a, lackluster Obsidian game, especially when you compare it to something like Fallout New Vegas. Now, I'm a die-hard New Vegas fan. I just think it's one of the best games, if not the best action RPG ever to exist, right alongside Baldur's Gate 3. But that's a very different type of RPG, but still, I love Obsidian. I don't think we're ever going to capture that same wonder that New Vegas had, the same interconnecting narratives and philosophies and ideologies and, back and forth choice and decisions, choice and consequences that, impact the whole entire world of that game. I don't think we're ever going to get anything like that, but what they are doing with this is they're building upon what they learned with the Outer Worlds, okay? This is clearly still very similar to Outer Worlds. They are hub-based areas, but the areas have been expanded. They are much, much bigger. And from what I've actually managed to gather, I can't say this is for sure, but based on my research, I think we're going to get around 5 to 4 big open areas to actually explore in Avowed in total, okay? There's going to be smaller areas, just like in the Outer World, where you go for like a kind of main quest location, but there are going to be probably around 4 to 5 massive areas to explore. And they've truly fleshed it out. It's not like the Outer Worlds where it felt very, refined, but too closed off. This is expanding, okay? In these big open areas, you have cities that you can actually explore. Even in this first area that a lot of people did their early review on or preview, basically, no one could actually access that. They walled it off. And a lot of people were complaining. I saw in the reviews that there's not enough NPCs. Well, of course, because they're all in the city, it's going to be, less NPCs out in the wilderness, but still, there's tons of quests that you can organically come across. And I'm just so excited about this, I really do believe that you shouldn't be hyped for games. I'm not Mr. Skeptic over here, Mr. Shill, Luke Stevens saying you should, boycott all games and boycott all excitement for games, and basically it's just a marketing scheme to make some kind of pathetic brand. But honestly, hype isn't a good thing. Pre-ordering games isn't a good thing. Don't go in with false expectations. Don't be overly optimistic, but be hopeful. Be hopeful that this is actually a good RPG game. And I am personally hopeful. And based on the data, objectively, looking at it rationally, that's what I try and do and stay as objective as possible. From all that I've seen, from all of the other opinions out there as well, Avowed is shaping up to be one of the best RPG games in a very long time. Like I said, I don't think it's going to compete with the open-ended nature of Skyrim, but what it is doing, it's expanding the formula of the Outer Worlds, these, kind of hub area open world mini games, which are quite different from the standard open world design philosophy. I personally enjoy handcrafted hub open world games much more compared to big bloated open world games now. I feel like we peaked with that type of game. Maybe GTA will come along and say, no, we can still do more of this. It doesn't have to be Ubisoft style rinse and repeat gameplay. And I hope that will be the case. But at the moment, when games take so long to make, when there's such a budget for them, I honestly think that this type of design is better. Avowed looks to be like the perfect balance. Not too open-ended, but not too closed off like the Outer Worlds was. Like in this first area, people have already reported 2 or 3 different types of dungeons. They aren't rinse and repeat, copy and pasted like we see with every game, even masterpieces like Elden Ring. They're taking the time to handcraft this. So each location that you find, each point of interest that you discover looks to be quite interesting. Some of them have quests built into the area itself, so you randomly discover an area and then a quest takes place. But from what I've actually gathered, this is much more of an exploration type game. Think of it as Skyrim Lite, okay? Now let's be honest, Skyrim was never a choice and consequence type of RPG game. It was an exploration RPG experience, but this is blending the best of both worlds, but on a more smaller scale, okay? But the choices and consequences, so far from what people have reported, is where this game comes into its own. That's why we want RPGs. That's why I love RPGs. I absolutely love RPGs. They're my favorite type of game. Baldur's Gate 3 is a perfect example of a game that respects your intelligence, that it has good quality writing. And from the look of it, the writing in this has been reported to be quite well done, not patronizing, not handholdy, not trying to force some kind of twisted modern ideology, ruining escapism and the fantasy element of this world.
Thanks to Tosh.
That's why we recruited her.
Actually, Tosh uses them for themselves now.
They asked us to let folks know, so now you do.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Thank you for telling me. That's why we recruited them. So what's our next move, Rook?
But actually respecting the lore of this universe that they're building around with good, mature quality writing. A lot of people didn't like the art direction of this game when it first revealed, and the combat was also reported to be quite janky. That's kind of when I play tested it, and I did think that, you know, it was kind of janky, but it was only a very short demo that I tried out, so I couldn't really judge it. But judging from the early Avowed reviews and the previews and stuff like that, people have reported that the gameplay is just so much better now, okay? They've actually redesigned some of the sound design, so the sounds sound crunchy and meaty. That's very important in game design. The music seems to be, you know, a nice blend of this kind of fantastical, high fantasy, optimistic music. But there's a dark secret with Avowed, and there are going to be dark themes in this game. It's not all high fantasy, but it is kind of the art style that they're going for, the vibe that they're going for. And I personally think it's quite interesting, and it looks quite good. It's not like someone vomited all over me, not like Dragon Age, okay, with, you know, its disgusting AI looking art design or anything like that. It has charm, it has character, and I think this kind of high fantasy look is actually hiding something darker underneath all of this. So they've redesigned the combat feels a lot more tighter now, and the whole point of this game is to explore, to experiment. You aren't, you know, locked into a, you know, class, okay? You can experiment with all of these different weapons. You have wands, you have these giant flintlock rifles that you can shoot. You can be a stealth archer, you can be a rogue, you can be, you know, a classical knight, you can be a spell sword. It does seem like Avowed is favoring magic, okay? And that's not really surprising based on the universe that it's, you know, based around. But there does seem to be a higher focus on the mage build. There's a lot more abilities to choose from, different spells and all that stuff. It does seem that Avowed wants you to multi-class, okay? But there is no actual way to do that. You can just be free to, you know, play the way that you want, which I think is very cool. That's what an RPG should be about, experimentation and all that stuff. So the reason why I'm so excited about Avowed, guys, you know, I think I've just been missing that feeling for a very long time. You know, I've refused to play Skyrim over and over again. I've already done like 3 modded playthroughs of it. I can't be bothered to do it again when there's better games I could be modifying. You know, I'm just done with Skyrim. I know a lot of people still get enjoyment out of it. Oblivion, you know, I'm looking forward to, but there is no game like this. There is no fantasy, RPG, action, you know, immersive game like this, you know. There are great RPGs, great fantasy RPGs out there, of course, I'm not denying that, Baldur's Gate 3 being one of them. I made a massive love letter video essay to that game, so go check it out. I put a lot of effort into it, a lot of skits, so check it out. But, you know, nothing like the immersive feeling of exploring and discovery like you would get in Skyrim or Fallout or a Bethesda game. Let's be honest, you know, Bethesda used to make good games, or Fable, a game I absolutely used to love. There's just no games being made like that anymore. But Obsidian seem to be on a track record of a game developer we can trust for now. Just like with, you know, From Software. It seems like they know what they're doing. They're great at creating narrative games with choice, with consequence. Choices that actually matter. Writing that respects you and your intelligence, that ask different questions, that reflect different ideologies, belief systems, and a world built around the actual world itself, not trying to placate to modern audiences and force some kind of weird ideology into their games, completely destroying the idea of what fiction and storytelling can offer us, a new way to think and interact with the world where new ideas can emerge. It looks like Avowed is taking a page from Hogwarts Legacy's kind of play style as well, which I think is quite interesting. So basically Hogwarts Legacy, the designers talked about how the point of interest, you know, the player needs to reach a point of interest pretty much every, I can't remember what it was, there's like a certain radius to it, or like a certain time period of just running around, I think like 5 minutes or something like that. Avowed seems to be very densely packed, okay? There are a lot of different points of interest around the world. Some of them just lead to, you know, interactions with NPCs. It doesn't look like it's a dynamic world where, you know, the AI is kind of doing its own thing, roaming around and, you know, like getting into trouble with the enemies. That's a little bit disappointing from what I've seen, but they still do feel immersive. They are quest givers, they are, you know, shopkeepers, all of that stuff, all the stuff that you expect. And the good thing about this is it's not trying to limit you. If you want to kill everyone, you can do that. Yes, I know, a modern day game that allows you to be a psychopath. A few negatives I would say so far that is concerning to me is the performance. From what I've gathered, it seems to be a little bit terrible. It's, you know, going to be stuttering, which, you know, a small micro stutter. Obsidian are always bad at this, but it does ruin the gaming experience. But honestly, it doesn't matter if there is good quality writing in this. And they've redefined the combat. You know, it is this kind of hack and slash nature of Skyrim, but with a lot more weight, a lot more impact, a lot of combinations that you can pull off, abilities. It even has that Mass Effect old school vibe to it, where you can pull up, you know, your companion skill tree and, you know, use their abilities as well, their, you know, action in combat. It's not like Outer Worlds where you just click a button and they do their move. There seems to be much more options there. The different playstyles in this game seem to be way bigger than Outer Worlds, where you can really mix and match and multi-class different things, different weapons. They all have different animations, different move sets. The bosses, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on bosses as well in Avowed, which is quite interesting to me. They don't look like the most interesting, I've got to be honest, but it is still nice to see that there is a lot more challenge because the Outer Worlds was quite easy. They've also refined movement. Instead of being, you know, kind of janky like other Bethesda games or previous Obsidian games, where movement feels kind of floaty and just restrictive, you can actually do a lot of parkour and platforming in this. There seems to be a lot of platforming challenges to find loot. I am a little bit worried that they're going down the kind of dungeon looter route, similar to Skyrim, you know. Say what you want about that game, but it is good just exploring, finding different loot and all that kind of stuff. Obsidian seems to kind of be leaning into exploration a lot more with Avowed, like I said. And, you know, it does seem to be much more of a deeper RPG because there's so many different skill trees you can go down, different, you know, classes to multi-class as well, which is you can just do freely, which is pretty cool. And the combat does feel good, the movement feels a lot better, a lot more platforming challenges and puzzles and stuff like that. But it does seem that they are scattering the map with a lot of different treasure chests, okay? I have seen that complaint come up quite a few times. It does seem that the loot on offer seems to be a little bit overkill, but there are unique items. I think it's really cool when you get something unique, and it does seem like Avowed will have unique weapons to find. And the exploration here just seems to be like the key factor, okay? You know, quests will have different outcomes. The movement is just so much better now, like the way you explore. Also, they have different entry points. You know, you can burn down, you know, vegetation to enter a location. You can just break down doors. If it's a, you know, like a kind of weak part of the wall, you can just blow it open to find a new entry point, or, you know, stealth around. The most thing I'm excited about with Avowed is the fact that it's a proper fantasy RPG game, you know, not just with its combat, its different playstyles, but the actual writing, decisions, companions, all of that stuff. That is to me where this game will shine. The way that you interact with your companions is at the camp. That's where you have this kind of progression with the social aspect, kind of like Baldur's Gate or Persona, which is kind of sad that maybe you can't interact with them as much, you know, when you're out exploring the world. But still, it adds this kind of new dynamic onto it, you know, where the kind of social elements are amplified. I think game designers do really need to take notice that we don't want AI bloat. We don't want random generation content. We want detailed, handcrafted locations. And it seems like Avowed is doing that on a smaller scale, but focusing on exploration much more instead of quests compared to Outer Worlds. And it seems like the uniqueness of those locations are exciting to me, from what I've seen, from what other people have talked about. But I do think that the Avowed reviews are going to be insane. And when I do my Avowed review, I will let you know, cut through the BS and give you a proper objective take. But, you know, I am obviously quite heavily biased towards this game, but I will let you know that. The reason I say that is because I don't think that this game will get the attention it deserves. It won't get the praise that it should get simply because of how gaming journalism works these days and where the money is, you know, kind of lining people's pockets and all that stuff. So just be warned that I think that it's not going to be a fair take on this game. A lot of people might be saying it's good now, but just be warned that I think tables will turn. To me, it's refreshing just to have a game that allows you to go off and do whatever the hell you want, with limits of course, and although this isn't like a very new design, you know, it doesn't maybe feel like a 2025 game or anything like that, to be honest. But it's nice that these RPGs can still exist and be modernized, and, you know, it does look like Avowed is adding systems that we haven't seen in this type of RPG before, and that's what I'm most excited about, exploring that, the freedom, you know, even just going underwater, simple things like that is pretty cool, and it just looks like they've really built this up, and I just wanted to gush about it and talk about it. Let me know what you think about Avowed and the Avowed early reviews, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Have a great day, subscribe if you're new, like I said, give the video a like, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.